Welcome to the Divine Council on Elestrals podcast. I am your host today, Jameson, and with me, as usual, is the one, the only Baboons. And we also have with us, back from his sojourn through the cosmos, Sky Guy. And also with us today, we have a very special guest to speak about all things Elestrals that she has a privy to, is the one and only BEX. Welcome, guys.
Hello, thank you. Thank you for having me.
So, how are we all doing today? We're doing pretty good.
I've yet to cease from existence, so it is very positive.
That's the spirit.
Yeah, that's the way to look at the bright side of being 6 feet above the earth.
I'm technically below sea level.
Oh, there you go.
Hey, what's wrong with being in the water? You can go below sea level. It's part of the fun. Yo, imagine just chilling in Atlantis, bro. That'd be fun. Dude, how pretty would that be? You know that.
Yeah, it'd be great. So, Bex, I'm so happy that you're here because there's so much about Elestrals that keys off of some of the things that you do, and I was just curious about some of the that you're involved with Elestrals. But to get started, I was just curious, and we ask this usually of all of our guests, of how did you get involved in the Elestrals project? What was the process for you to discover Elestrals and then get involved in it?
Well, so I've followed A-Drive as through his Pokemon content for a decade now. So when he was teasing whatever he was teasing on Twitter back in 2022, I was interested, and he posted it was Elestrals, and I was into it. I like a monster collection franchise, and Pokemon around that time just wasn't doing it for me anymore. And
he's teasing whatever he's teasing. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, well, it's true.
He was doing something. Who knows? But it worked for me.
He was up to something. He works in mysterious ways. Yeah, but so yeah, I joined the Discord, joined the community, and what was happening with me at the time is I was actually off work because I had a carpal tunnel surgery on both my hands, so I was off work for 10 weeks. So all I had to do to occupy myself is be really obsessed with Elestrals. So I actually started the fan wiki to archive stuff that Dan was teasing at the time, and just, I think about November, he asked me to join the team as an official archivist.
Yeah, well, yeah, there you go.
You know, that's very interesting because I know someone else here is an archiver of his own design.
I wonder who that is.
He takes great joy in making those spreadsheets. Must be the man who is keen and intelligent and spends a vast amount of effort, which I do not have the power to do so.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah. It was just very, very serendipitous, very fortuitous, and some other big words. It was just, good timing. Just everything kind of fell into place. And it's been great. I was working, just a retail job at the time. I'd been there for 8 years, and I was miserable. But because of this gig, I was able to quit that job, and I just do Elestrals full time.
So that's really cool. It seems rather a unique way of getting involved with the community and the project itself.
That's awesome.
Right. So, in addition to being the archivist, are you also not involved with the art side of the Elestrals as well?
Yeah. So I've drawn a couple cards. My first card was released in the first Shattered Stars Pack the Spark-It artist collection. I have a couple other cards coming up. We can talk about that later. But what else I do is I support the artists. So my main archiving is the artwork itself. And so we have a system that has, it's 1,500 pieces of unique artwork. So whenever an artist needs a reference for, say, they're drawing an alt art of this Celestial, I gather all the references for them. Oh, have we done this animal before? Oh, yes, we have. Or do we need a stellar for this one? Oh, yes, we do, I keep track of all that stuff.
So you are also not only the archivist, but a liaison for the artists, so that they know what they can and can't do. Is that my understanding of it?
Basically, so A-Drive is the one who assigns all the tasks, all the commissions and stuff, and then whatever resources they need, I help provide it.
Oh, that's pretty awesome. So you are also an artist in addition to that, which of course, like you said, you have a few pieces that are going to be featured in future sets in addition to that. By the way, you said it was Strabbit, right? That you did for artist, or which one was it?
Sparkit.
Sparkit. Oh, I don't use
Did I say?
Sparkit, so no, I immediately went to Strabbit because I use Strabbit in my decks. So it's like,
That was Johnny did that one. Johnny's very talented.
yeah, he's really good.
All of our artists are really talented. Like you guys aren't going to be ready for some stuff we have coming up in the next few sets. There's some gorgeous artwork. I can't wait until everyone can see it.
Yeah, I've really been loving the art as it is right now. There's some of the great stuff out there. I do want to see more of the fire stuff because I'm a fire guy. And I really want to see more alternates of like Necruff, Blazerus, and Trifernal. Those are my guys. The puppies are always big for me. But with that in mind, is like, have you run into any obstacles or pitfalls in relation to the art scene with the artists, or in creating art for Elestrals yourself?
Myself, well, it's hard to say that pitfalls.
I mean, especially when creating for a licensed product like Elestrals.
Yeah. Well, the thing is,
I was just asking, are you asking her about like things like restrictions that you might have to go through, or what are you asking specifically?
Right. Well, it's stuff like, it's like when you're going to set a design, right, for something. Say, for example, we'll use the Sparkit example because you created a Sparkit art for the artist collection from the Founders Edition Kickstarter. And when you set out to create that art, what kind of difficulties did you have to overcome to create a unique piece of art that also featured very similarly to something that had already been in existence, or has not been created yet, and you were just doing something that was working closely with other artists and trying to figure out how all those pieces go together, I guess is how I'm looking at it.
Okay, so I'm just going to correct what you said. I didn't do anything for Founders Edition. The Sparkit I did was for Shattered Stars. I was hired after everything for base set was kind of locked in.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. My bad.
Yeah, no worries. See, so I've drawn my whole life, and I've always been more comfortable kind of drawing in other people's space, like fan art, basically. Pokemon and stuff. So it was just what I like to do anyway, to just draw a design someone else did. Especially with the artist collection one, where, I was just able to do my own style. But when it came to doing stuff, because I have a few cards coming that are in the Elestrals card style, it was really outside of my art experience. We have a style guide that our art director, Dan Reyes, made. Like, there's a specific painting style that we try to capture with the art, which was new to me, but it's been amazing to be able to work with like 20 highly skilled artists who are, very kind and give good critique. And like, I've learned so much. My art has leveled up so much. It's been great.
Well, I'm curious. You said that you enjoyed doing fan art for different games such as Pokemon and other things.
Yeah.
Is it more like creature or animal based that you enjoyed, or like what did you like really enjoy doing the artwork for?
Oh, Pokemon specifically. I ran a Tumblr for it was for 1 year, 365 days, like a daily Cubone, where I drew Cubone every day.
Oh my gosh, I need to see that. I'll see that later.
Yes, remind me later. I'll show you the link.
Absolutely. But so what Elestral did you see, or like what spurred you to be like, I would like to make an alternate art? Obviously, we've talked about Sparkit a lot, but was that like the main thing you saw and like, oh my gosh, I want to make more? Or like what really inspired you to be like, hey, how can I also join this aspect of Elestrals?
Well, what it was A Drive had a list of cards he wanted done for Shattered Stars, so I just picked from the list, and I wanted to do Sparkit. So that's about it for that one. That's how it's been generally with the other card arts I've been able to do too.
Did you just like see the opportunity and took it, or was it more like fun?
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, he posted, so we have like a server for the artists, and each artist has their own channel to keep track of their work in progress, and then there's like a general chat. And A Drive posted in the general chat, like, I need 5 artists to do this. And I said, me, please.
The eagerness is what makes the development of this game so exciting. I can't deny that.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I always be, like, no matter what part of the community I'm looking at, whether it's development, creation, like historical, like creating the lore, like it's every single aspect. Everyone is so eager to help out and do more. And even in the own community, everyone's always helpful and wanting to help the newbies, or like teaching, or like it's very a positive community, which is what I've been.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I love the community. Like it's like what, we have 12,000 people in the Discord, so not everyone, you know, you're not going to click with everyone, but in general the atmosphere is just so good, and everyone, like you said, just wants to help each other because we all love the game.
Yeah, that's the whole reason why we're here, is for the love of the game, right? You know, and it's another reason why we started a podcast about it, right? You know, because if you don't enjoy what's happening or what you're doing, then then there's, I don't know what to tell that person's. Like, if you're not happy here, I'm not really sure why you would be here, but some people stick around and try to see where it's headed, what's going to happen next, and that's awesome.
But that's so true. Like, I really believe that you have to, put your time and indulge in things you love. There's a lot of, people who just like to dunk on things they hate, people who hate watch shows, people who rant about this, that, and the other thing. But just, like, let that go and do what you love. And I had the great opportunity to do what I love, working on a monster creation franchise, so I left that retail job that I hated, and now I get to do what I love.
Yeah, and it sounds like you're doing a really good job with it, with what we've seen
Thank you.
so far, with the reveals for Frostfall and all the other stuff that's coming, like with Shattered Stars and whatnot. So
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of really good stuff going on there.
I was part of a teaser for Frostfall that's I think it's still gonna be a couple weeks out, but it was pretty fun to do. You'll see. I won't spoil it.
I mean, it probably will be out by the time of this video.
Maybe, yeah.
But all in all, we are excited to see what's coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the way I look at it too. Is like, it's just excited to see what the future is holding in regards to Elestrals in general, because there's so much that is coming.
Yeah.
I'm sure that there are people that are privy to that, obviously, but I know that there's so much coming, and so much joy and love that's going to happen. And we say it all the time. Everybody says it all the time. Is that the community is not ready for what's coming down the pipe with the future of Elestrals. And I get people that come up like, no, I'm ready. No, dude, you are not. You have no idea what's coming.
Oh yeah.
So there's that. But that's interesting about how everything is coming together in regards to that. Now, there's an elephant that comes into the room when anybody talks about art, and
Typhlant.
yes, the Typhlant of the room. Let me just put it that way, or the Catarant of the room, right? Yeah. And that is that AI art is a big controversial subject right now, and I know that you work with artists and you're an artist yourself in some respect, I would say. What do you feel about the stance? What is your stance on AI art and how it is currently being used and how it should be used?
Like, just in general, because I will say none of the art that we produce is through AI. It's all through our very, very talented artists. But just in general, to me, it should be a tool, not a replacement. Like, using AI to, like, prompt an idea for a concept and then building on that. That's what I would be interested in. Because, you only have your own brain to refer to, right? It's just kind of an outside opinion. But to have it completely replace artists, it's never going to be the same. The soul isn't there.
Yeah, I keep forgetting AI art exists, if I'm being honest, because like I know that it exists because like I see things like occasionally where it's like, ooh, AI can do whatever you want, and I'm like, well, that is true. There's always imagination and creativity that goes into each piece, and I keep forgetting about it, and I've never thought that the artwork for Elestrals would be like that, just because it has that life to it, like that true like kid joy, like, ooh, I'm playing.
Like
Yeah.
a machine can only spit out based on like data, right? But especially where we've done like different art styles of different creatures, like stuff for Shattered Stars and things, just to see how different people put their own experience, their own thought, their own feelings into it. Like that can't be beat.
Right. So yeah, I mean, because you're not going to be able to fully replace that with a machine thinking. No matter how much data you put into it, it's not going to be able to replicate.
No, not in our lifetime.
What an artist can do with that
Yeah.
subtlety of line, or the subtlety of color, or stuff like that, where you just create something out of nothing, literally. And as a designer and a creator for other projects,
Yeah.
I also believe that that it should be a tool that aids you and not something that replaces what a skilled and trained artist can do. And the talented artists especially. I mean, if you have the talent for it, you can get the training and develop the skill. So I believe that we have some of the most talented artists on our game, on this game. So that and it's just some of the things that you guys are coming up with is just amazing, in my opinion.
Yeah, like you don't even know some of the people whose art isn't premiering until like set 3 or set 4. We have some incredibly talented people on this team, and like I feel privileged to be able to work next to them and learn from them. It's been fantastic.
Honestly, I would love if I had that ability, because there's so many like images or like styles you can go through. And like I think the same with like the video art production. Like how you guys have set up all the caricatures and like how everything seems so lifelike going through like watching the startup videos. It's just, I'm like, there's so many things I see in my head that I'm like, ooh, that would be so cool if I did that. But I don't have any of that to be able to do that crazy works. But still, I mean, it's so exciting every time I see something new like that. Because it breathes more life into the game for me.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, it's actually happening. Look at it go.
Oh, I'll tell you too, like world building is really big. It's something, there's a lot of like key points we haven't settled on yet, but it is an ongoing conversation. World building, how do these creatures work in their world? What's the world like? How do humans live? Like, what do the gods do? Like, we've, I don't think it's spoiling for me to say that we've been putting a lot of work into a map of the Elestrals world.
Yeah, Dan has said something about that recently, so yeah.
Yeah, and we're...
Yeah, I was gonna say I love that, because it's like, honestly, that's where my passion is as well. Like, understanding the world is just such a huge aspect, and I love lore to a certain extent. Because especially, it gives me a sense of like, okay, so this is how things go about, and it brings you more connection to the world.
Yeah, and it's been really interesting to try to think about like, how does having Elestrals in this world affect maybe how technology developed, maybe how houses are built, things like that. So we're like I said, we're working on the map first, kind of the broad strokes, and we're making sure to implement some scenes that you see in the backgrounds of cards into the map, just to connect it all together.
Plus, also the stadium's going to have our actual locations in the world,
exactly.
And stuff like that. I mean, in the game, it's a stadium, but in the world, it's a location. Like the Foloi Forest actually exists in the world. The Mountains of Boreas actually exists and stuff. So all of those things have to have a home somewhere. In the world.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, I was gonna say I love imagining the world. Now I've seen basically none of the lore yet. I'm currently saving up to do a giant like media watch of like all lore lined up. So I have not seen anything. So take that with a grain of salt, because I'm like, ooh, I'd love to see a sea town. Ooh, I'd love to see like fisheries. I'd love to see what they do in this world. Or ooh, maybe like a Caprigal will lead a boat or something. I don't know. Like, I don't know what can happen.
Exactly, yeah.
But that is what I'm excited for. I'm excited to see what the world can become. Because I think, honestly, it just, like, for example, I mentioned Caprigal. I think it's a majestic Elestral that I think would be, like, maybe some wooden, like, art on a bow of a ship or something. Because, that's the things that I'm thinking of. And I'm like, I'm so excited to see this world and what they come up with.
We are on the same wavelength, because I think about things like like jewelry influenced by what some Elestrals look like, architecture. How do we build our houses to accommodate the Tectorus who hangs out with me, right? Like stuff like that.
I can't wait to see the lore get to the point where people are going to start theory crafting what's going to happen next.
Yeah.
It's going to be so amazing.
Yeah, some Elestrals might be guardian deities of certain towns, like, oh,
Exactly.
he protects our civilization. If, like, some might be even, like, worshipped in certain ways.
Yeah.
Like, as long as they say safe, it protects us from the forest outside. Like, none of the Elestrals will attack us as long as we, like,
And we're
either feed this Elestral or, like, praise the Elestral or, like, stuff like that. And it's so exciting.
Yeah, I'm so intrigued by the lore itself. Is that I'm laying down the mechanics of a role-playing game for a tabletop role-playing game for Elestrals.
Yeah.
Which is going to be simple mechanics that you can play with your kids, right?
Can we please play D&D Elestrals? I suddenly have an urge. I'm sorry. You brought up tabletop, and I'm like,
well, it's not going to be D&D. It's be its own system.
yes, we need to do that someday. That's totally a side note, but fair now.
Well, see, I'm designing its own system and its own mechanics.
Fair.
That's going to be a simplified mechanical system so that even, like a 10-year-old can understand how to resolve an action in the game. But where it's really going to shine is when the lore comes about, right? So once the lore is revealed, then I can add all of that into the tabletop RPG, and that's when it's really going to shine, because then I can key a lot of the effects and a lot of the different things you can do in the game to what's going on in the lore. But you have to have the mechanics in place and understand how mechanically the game is, things are going to get resolved in the game versus, what the lore is. I mean, I don't have to develop the lore. That's somebody else's job. But if I can develop the mechanics and that Dan really likes what I have done, then that's another conversation. But I think that it's also another gateway that players can have to get into playing Elestrals in another way. I know he's talked about doing an RPG for video, a video game RPG, as well as maybe a pixel game or something like that. And I know that's many years down the road. But once the lore is done, I could whip out a tabletop RPG in very short periods of time, because that's where my wheelhouse is. That's what I do, that as a side project, basically. So I think that would be really interesting to see. So I'm really excited for the lore for that purpose.
I'm excited to see what you guys, what the whole community does with the space once the space is more defined.
Well, I was actually going to say that that we have also made separate creations. Like, we have side games that have been, like, in development. For example, I'm a part of a project with 2 other Elestral members to make foamy fishing. Basically, a bunch of foamies.
I love foamy.
Yeah, foamy fishing. Sky Guy, you are one of
Not foamy fishing.
That's such a fun little side game.
and we have fun with it. And honestly, it's a fun little side game that it's just me, Alien, and Sky Guy are working on. And once we're able to, like, properly create it, like, we want to present it as, like, another side game, because I want to feel more invested, because, like, there's so much we can do in this world, and, like, there's so much that can happen, and I'm excited to see what goes on.
Oh yeah. I will say we're still pretty early in all of that. Like, the main focus right now is just to make sure the card game itself is well established. But we do have, we have stories that are coming out this year with some illustrations that are going to kind of build up the culture of the world and such, and what the relationship between humans and Elestrals is. And
See, that was another question I was going to have about is the stories. I mean, is there going to be a storyline associated with it? And it sounds like that's a direction you're going to go in. Are they going to be short stories or long form, or do we not know that yet?
Are you asking if it's, like, protagonist type, or if it's, like, world building, as in, like, each city, like, we're going to learn each about it? Or is it maybe God's divine protections or something? Or, like, are you asking if, like, the gods actually directly attached to this world? Actually, like, see them?
The the question that I'm actually asking is that there's going to be stories. We already know this, right? There was a given when you create lore, you're also going to create something that interacts with that lore, right? So, but what I'm asking is when I talk about short stories versus long form, short stories are just like the little short snippets talks about a boy and his Tyrantlus, right? Or a girl and her Necruff, or whatever, the combination of that. And it's just a short little story about them having a little adventure and then going on, and that it's just a one and done thing. And then long form is more of a chapterized, novelization, like a young adult novel, or a mid range novel, or even just a full adult novel.
Yeah. Yeah, I gotcha.
Those are long form stories. So, are we going to does Dan have an idea that is something that he is considering for the future? I'm not saying he's made a determination or whatnot, but is it something that we can potentially look forward to?
I don't think it's going over the line for me to say that right now it is just short stories. We're still finding our footing. There is some things that we still have to establish about how the world works.
Oh yeah.
And our we have an author, Derek Sidaway, I believe is his name, and he's the one writing the stories. And they're just little self-contained little morsels right now. But they're with characters who could very well come back in later stories, and I think it would be interesting to explore that, actually.
I would love to sit down and have a full conversation with the lore creator. That would be such an amazing experience, because not only do I get would I have the ability to have the image of this is what the world looks like, but it would also be this is how he sees the future, and this is how things are going to come to pass. And that is just so there's something special about talking with someone and seeing their dreams through their own mind,
Yeah.
Having that discussion, seeing what they want to do with it and how it goes and comes to be.
Everyone on the team has things that they want to do, right? Because we're all very passionate about this. And Derek is the guy who's leading on what the rules of the world are. He's written documents about what exactly a caster is and what their role is in society. But then there's still some really big building blocks that we're still not quite we haven't quite resolved yet. A big one for me is that I think this is all right for me to say. We don't 100% know yet if there's animals in this world alongside Elestrals, and how does that work? That's something we've got to figure out still.
Right.
Interesting. I've never really considered that. I always thought that Elestrals were there and we eat them, but
yeah, do you eat sorlet bacon?
What if we? But it's but we are technically casters that summon in a way, because we use the spirit.
Yeah.
Sorta.
I never really thought of it that way. That'd be interesting.
Yeah, I think one of our first trailers mentioned when the spirits fell from the sky and infused with the animals,
right,
is how it's phrased. So then in our current time in terms of the story, are there still animals? Because apparently there was animals before, because
right.
However you slice it, Elestrals didn't exist before this event happened. So what was there before? And how does that work? And do we eat sorlet, or do we have pigs and sorlet? If you give a pig a spirit, does it become a sorlet? We have to figure these things out.
Right. I always saw Elestrals as companions like in Pokemon, where they exist, and you're not casting them like you would in Magic or Yu-Gi-Oh! You're just using the spirits to enhance the Elestral or enchant them to allow them to do certain things. But they're your companion. They travel with you. So if you could have up to 4 of them in the card game. Obviously, you face up in play. So in my mind, you could have 4 companions, and then if you infuse them with enough spirits or enough spirit energy from the spirits you have collected yourself, then they evolve or ascend into the next iteration. That's how I see it. Now that could be completely way off base from the direction that the story team is going in, but yeah.
Well, I mean,
on the right track.
see is that I'm looking at like the art for like the Kraken taking the ship. Like when I envision that,
Yeah.
I don't see another like thing alongside. I see, oh, this is a wild creature that has been possessed by spirits. Does it dissipate and the spirits split from it and it becomes a normal creature? That maybe. But like I'm not sure how it goes about. Like
We do go into that a little bit in some of the stories coming up. But yeah, it's all about hammering out the details. Whether we use the whole do animals exist, whether we use certain things that we think about, we want to have that foundation there so that if it ever comes up, we have that to refer back to later on. Like Pokemon kind of shot themselves in the foot by referring to animals like early on, but now there's no animals, so we have like the giants to learn from, right? So we don't have to repeat their mistakes like that.
right, you gotta be careful.
So basically, you're gonna do like they do. You're gonna do like they do when in Hollywood when a showrunner and a production staff creates a show. You know, that's put out on TV. They create what's called a Bible for that show that details everything you can and can't do. Yeah, the pitch Bible that details everything you can and cannot do in that world. So that's what you're basically saying that you're referring to is what you're building right now is the lore Bible for Elestrals that says this is the world, this is what we can and cannot do in this world, and that way you have a basis to refer to go, well, we said we couldn't do that, but can we break that a little bit, or is it set in stone?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, see, the thing that I'm wondering about is that, Jameson, you talked about having 4 partners. Well, yes, I see that. More like, how do I put this? The Rangers from Pokemon, where you throw out like a fire spirit and it attaches to this wild Pokemon, and then it becomes the Elestral of the choosing, or is it based on the creature, or like, because there's thoughts of that as well. Because it could be like how, because Rangers use styluses on Pokemon. I'm thinking, do we use the spirits to not ingest but envelop the Elestral in order to bring about its creation, or use it for our team?
Right. Yeah. The way that I look at it, right, is simply you have companion spirits that you have with you. Now, obviously, this is probably not canon. Take it with a grain of salt. You have companion spirits with you, right? And you encounter a Clovey in the wild, right?
Okay.
And you would use, a Teratless spirit that is one of your companion spirits, and you would have it try to enchant the Clovey like you would try to capture a Pokemon with a Pokeball, or you would try to do something else in another space, right? And
okay, I
and then if you do, it becomes your companion because now you are enchanting it with your own spiritual energy because it's already been infused with the Teratless. It's already become a Clovey, right?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like, if we require spirits in order for Elestrals to exist, wouldn't that Clovey already naturally have an Earth spirit or whatever spirit would be enveloping it? So the thought process is that would it already have multiple spirits enchanting it, or would the spirit that was already possessing it be?
Yeah, I look at it as spiritual energy, right? For example, I have a Teratless spirit companion, right? They're there in the Nether around me. They're there with me all the time, right? I'm a natural born caster. I have at least a Teratless spirit, and
Well, do you have to summon, or is it like you just become allies with them through bonding?
Right. That's what I was going to say. It's like when you encounter that Clovey, then you would use that Teratless spirit that is your partner, and some of its energy you would use on the Clovey to try and get it to link to you so that it's still a Clovey. It's not going to ascend right away, but that way, if you link to it with your Teratless, then now you have a link to it, and it is now your partner, And how you treat that clovey will determine whether or not the clovey is resistant to you over time. So it's like if you treat your clovey badly, they're going to leave you eventually, because they're not going to want to put up with that. They're just going to just go. But if you treat it well, it's your bond is just going to get stronger. That's how I see it. Now, like I said, it could be way off.
So it's like a spirit circuit
Yeah.
connection. So like the stronger your ties is with the spirit, the more invested the Elestral will
Right.
become.
And then the more enchanting you can do with it as you expend more spiritual energy, as you build your spirit up, right? You can then it can ascend into the next version of it.
Right.
I don't know if Clovey has an ascension. I don't remember, but the point
Sakurasaur.
Yes. Yeah. I was gonna say I think it's about a Sakurasaur. Yeah.
Yeah, Sakurasaur, the Stegosaurus with the trees on its back. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. It is. It is Sakurasaur. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So my point is then, if you build your spirit up to have enough energy, or you gather enough spirit energy around you, that is Teratlus energy, you can imbue that or enchant that into your Clovey, and he would ascend into a Sakurasaur. And then now you have a Sakurasaur companion instead of a Clovey companion. And it would stay that way until...
Well, the question is, do you make a prayer for that ascension to occur, or is it just a natural ascension based on having too many spirits?
No, I get that.
Because some people can properly enchant an Elestral just to disenchant, remember? So there are options where they do not ascend. So I think it just depends on how they want to establish the gameplay setup. But then again, I'm also...
Right, no, that's what I'm good like. But I wasn't talking in regards to gameplay mechanics or anything like that. I was just, just laying a foundation for how I'm seeing things. And I could be way off, or I could be really close. It doesn't really matter for the discussion. But I think that is just one way that we could go about that. Obviously, there are other ways that the story team is probably coming up with that either mirrors that or is totally different. But I think it's an interesting way to look at it, because I've always been thinking about the lore of Elestrals. I mean, because in the game, in the card game, you cast the Elestral to the field, like you're summoning it. Right. And you don't do that in Pokemon because you keep them in Pokeballs, right? So you're technically summoning them that way, but you still have it with you and it's still a companion. I don't think Pikachu ever goes back in his ball at any given time in the Pokemon stories. But
I think he's ever gone a total of 3 times throughout the entire history of catch up Pokemon.
Yeah, so that's why I think that any Elestrals that you have as a caster are your companions, and you don't have to limit it to 4. You could just say you could have an army of Elestrals for that matter. But where would you keep them all, and how would you feed them, and how would you take care of them? That's the other side effect to that particular argument. But that's just the way that I see it. I don't know if that's very similar to what they're thinking of or anything like that. And I know you can't really speak to it much, but
yeah, I have to be careful what I comment on at a point. Yes.
No, of course.
Right. Yeah. But I just wanted to put that out there, is because that's the way that I see it, and that may not be like, and Baboon sees it differently. I'm sure Sky Guy sees it differently.
And if you can also build off of James's theory, and what if you put for example, a Leviathan spirit on the Clovey? Does it become a Water Nexus variant of the Earth Clovey, or does it do something else?
So you're saying that the Clovey would transform into a different shape, or are you saying that it would just be enveloped in an aura of Leviathan water blue?
Right, that would be interesting, yeah.
Or
well, like Typhlosion and Catarant. Like if Typhlosion has a Fleur Mine attached to it, does it become a Catarant? Is what you're asking, right?
Yeah, something like that.
So it's all stuff that's being worked on, some stuff that the upcoming stories will address, some not quite yet, and definitely stuff I can't really comment on yet. Yeah.
No, of course. I see myself, because as the water lover I am, I see myself as more of the fisherman-esque type, and so I'm going out to sea.
Right.
I've got my companion, say I'm going to do the capital that I went from the story, so it's leading the boat. I get in contact with, I fish, I'm getting foamies, I'm getting different sea creatures, but then a cracking attacks, and like I have to use my companion Caprigal, or I like throw out my spirit into one of the creatures I've been fishing up to go assist me. I don't know how that would work, because aren't I technically using them for like food? I don't know. Like, I don't know how that would go. Because, I mean, I'm a fisherman. I don't know how that would work. Because I'm also thinking of space, like you talked about before. I'm thinking of myself in a little dinghy. Like, I'm not in a boat. Like, I'm just little man.
Yeah.
But
you're just a little guy.
Who knows how that can go about, which I'm excited about. Because like maybe it's Leviathans are swimming alongside me. Like
An army of tadpuffs.
Army of tadpuffs, go forth for me, my army. We shall conquer this world.
Yeah, so you got a school of foamies or school of tadpuffs or something like that.
That's something I've really like been pushing for us to settle on, like within the lore about the animals and Elestrals. Like, if I'm eating my sorlet bacon, is my Chrysor sitting across the table just shaking his head in disappointment at me, or
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. That's not what was happening. It's shivering in a corner saying, am I next? No, buddy. You're my transportation. I use you. You're useful for me. Like, it's like, I don't know.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing I want us to have figured out, though, because it raises questions if you don't. And I also am going to say, with you being the water guy,
yes,
you have some fantastic arts coming
really
your way. Oh my, some of the best art we have, like the cracking full art attacking the ship, like that.
I can't wait to see what to do with the other.
Dude, I see so many teasers of like not teasers, but like the stuff they've been putting out. Like, I'm like, dude, I really hope they do more with water. Like, I can't wait to see what they do. Like,
I can't wait to see what they.
Sorry, my excitement was overloading. I am excited to see what they do. Can't wait to see what kind of like creatures there are out there. Because like it's just I'm so excited.
Like, if you like the deep sea.
I mean, but then there's also like there's lakes and like what if I'm just fishing at a lake? Is there like different like Elestrals that are there in opposed to the ocean? Because I'm sure that there's different species. Like,
well, yeah, we definitely. If you look at the subclasses, aquatic versus oceanic, aquatic is kind of the freshwater, oceanic being in the sea.
Right. I see that, and I'm like, that's so cool.
And we definitely want to think about it because, like, we're kind of thinking of the world in biomes and what lives in those specific biomes, and like we have to think about things like that giant cracking attacking the ship. Are all cracking that big, or is that like a special case, and would that become an event in a game or something?
Well, here's a thought that I just thought of. Like I said, don't know anything, grain of salt, yada yada, that we've been saying the entire time. What if it's an overloaded cracking? It's got like 20 Leviathans or something crazy. It's like it's got too much energy to be contained, so it's been like overloaded, so it's become giant. So it's lashing out of rage. It's not because I hate humanity, I'm gonna destroy it. It's more of I'm in pain.
Yeah.
I need to release this energy, which is a sad way to look at it in a way. But at the same time, that's why casters exist. I'm sure that like they're protectors or maybe they're guardians. Who knows? I don't know what they are. But like,
yeah, that makes sense.
I'm sure that's why we come to protect them and like make sure that their power does not get out of control. Like that would be a cool way to do it. But that would make it a boss fight, I guess.
Yeah, that kind of thing is the stuff I want us to consider. And like just as you were talking, I'm just thinking of more of like the water guy art that's coming. It's so good. Like really some of our best full arts. Like
more teasers.
Like there's
I want to see Frostfall. Anyway.
There's one coming in set 3 that it's like one of my favorite arts in the whole game, and there's actually one coming in a later Shattered Stars that's so good. I can't wait till you guys can see all the art. It's so good.
Yeah, I'm excited for it.
And just to go on a little tangent, I can't wait till you guys see my art when my first Elestral that I designed myself premieres in set 4 as a starter deck mascot.
Really? That's so
Yeah.
cool. Hey, you don't have to answer like the exact thing, but have you done any water art? You don't have to tell me like the creature, but like have you done anything for the water spirit Leviathan? Like the Elestrals that exist for the water spirit?
I have not.
Dang, sadness. Anyway.
No, I have not.
Ooh, 100%.
I do want to take the time to make more fan art, though.
I can't wait to see what they do with Solar.
Wow, that was a lot. That was a lot. That was super fun.
I mean, we could do so much more. Like, I could talk ages. Like, I can spend the next 16 hours talking about lore. Because, like, that's how much of an obsessive fan I am. Like, I enjoy learning about the lore. Like, it's just so crucial to me. Like, I truly think it's just a massive part of the development.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, and A-Drive, like, believes that, too. So, like I said earlier, the main focus right now is making sure the card game's established. But once we have a little more room to start going outside those bounds a little bit, that's one of the things I'm most excited to tackle.
I wish I could be a part of the development team. There's so many ideas I have. Like, could we like discuss? Because like that's just how big of a lore person I am. Like I could literally spend 48 hours sleep deprived. Like I am going to guarantee this is perfect. Like that's how much I love the lore. Just like it's, I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy, but like.
And I'm just gonna say, like, kind of like how I fell into this just by doing that fan wiki and stuff. If you love something, don't be shy about it. Indulge in it, and maybe you'll be noticed, and maybe someday you will be on the development team. Who knows?
Well, the biggest issue I have is like I have no artistic talent. I could not draw a scene to save my life. So like, if there's lore, I would need a backup buddy. Unless someone sees my crude pictures and I'm like, hey, does something like this work? And it's just like a stick figure of like, yeah, like they're not gonna understand that. Like, that's just like I'm just not that skilled with it. So like,
I gotta show you after. I did a thumbnail for one of the videos on the Elestrals channel, and like A-Drive had in his head how he wanted it to look, and he just did a scribble for me, and then I interpreted it. Like that's a totally.
You know, I think I've seen like I think it was on Twitter or something, like him doing like, hey guys, I like this is like development. It's like a little scratch work, and I'm like, I love that so much because it's like me. That makes me feel like me so much because I'm like, I can't do it. But man, I wish I could, you know? I wish I could do all that effort. Like truly, I think the artists are incredible people because
they are.
I can't do it, and I wish I could. Like, I genuinely, like, if I could create this scene, if I can create this feeling of like, this is how this environment is, this is how this world, I don't know. I'm a bit obsessive with the lore and the world itself, so that's just me.
If you want to get good at drawing, I can teach you how to draw a building.
Yeah.
Like a solid building.
I mean, I can build the very basic house, but like, I don't know. Like I said, lore is something that's very cool, and I really think that the time and effort that like goes into it is going to be rewarded. And I'm just, it's an amazing thing.
Yeah, I agree. There's a lot of stuff coming down the pipe, I'm sure. Of things that we just haven't seen yet or we're not even privy to, that is definitely going to generate the excitement of the community and stuff, because you know that's what it's about. You know, it's about the community and about building that excitement. So I think that's definitely something that is really pretty awesome overall in my book. Because without the community, you know, keeping the support going and doing everything, I think that, you know, without them, we really just wouldn't have anything happening, you know.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, at the very least, like, while I couldn't like do the drawing or images, I feel like, I'm sorry, this is still so like imposing, and I hate that I'm doing this, but it's like I can at least like write a story. Yeah. Like, I know I can, like, put into details, like, how this world would come to be. Like,
when the lore drops, you'll see, like, Derek does the story writing, but we have our artists doing the illustrations. And I actually just DM'd you, Baboons, the sketch that A-Drive gave to me for the thumbnail, and then my thumbnail.
I love it. That is beautiful.
Yeah.
That is 100% how I do my thing. Yeah, that is my art style. And that is how perfectly bad I am at that. I'm so bad. No, but it gets the idea. Yeah.
But it still gets the idea across, and then a good artist can interpret that.
Oh no, you're just
Not to talk myself up, but
Oh yeah, a good artist is able to take anything and do something with it. Overall, in my opinion, that's just what I view. Because in the space of what I do as a creator, I look at art as well because we have to do it for the books that we write and stuff like that, because you got to have covers and all this fun stuff. So I am an ad hoc graphic designer, mechanic designer, and as well as everything else that goes into the design of a product that through the group that I'm working with. And it's so much goes into what makes a product look good and all that. And I know that Dan probably has this whole scenario where he's looking at all of these elements that go into the next set that's coming out. And when you're looking at that, it's like, how do you make those decisions? How do you decide that this image over that image, and this logo over that logo, and the placement on the product itself and all that stuff? That is all very fascinating to me.
it is really interesting. Actually, another thing I do and that we've been doing lately is like proofing our product for the printing process, which making sure all the cards are all formatted correctly, but also making the logos, how we put them on the binders, how we put them on the boxes, how we position, cut the hollows, all this stuff. It's really interesting to have to look at and consider and have all the graphics for it, and it's really a big team effort.
Yeah, it sounds like it's a major undertaking, because you want it to look just right, and as an artist and a creator, I'm sure you'll agree with me, is the fact that an artist never sees their work as complete.
No, absolutely. That is absolutely true.
There's always something, because you'll see a flaw or something that you missed when you finally submitted it, or you have to reach a point where it's just like, this is good enough. I can't keep playing with this. I have to move on. Yeah. So
I 100%. I've been there. Absolutely.
I mean, that's how art are. I've got a friend who's wholly dedicated to making his own universe, and he's a great guy, and like, I've seen the stuff he's doing, and like, I've assisted my friend with like creating like lore for his universe, but like, I see his artwork and I'm like, you really, like, that's perfect. And he's like, no, I need to do this, this, and this, and I'm like,
let it go, dude.
It's good. Like, I just, like, I have that friend, and I'm like I love like discussing with him like all the stuff he does. It's just so much fun. So like, it's just like I said, diving into someone else's world is such a beautiful thing, because it's like, there's so many universes you can just create and work with. It's just amazing.
That's something that's been really fun about having like a lot of different artists too, is they get a lot of artistic freedom. Like, A-Drive will go to like Daniel Mosby's one of our artists and say like, I want a mama bear and 3 cubs, and he'll make the Ursas. And then we kind of retroactively elements that he might have incorporated into that art, bring it into the lore. Like one specific example that I was thinking of earlier is like our regular art Stellar Sonicore. If you look at the art, you'll notice that there's floating stones behind it. So we wanted to implement that into the world, like with a lore reason, which I won't say just yet, just in case we do end up using it, but stuff like that.
I didn't. That's so cool, and like, I haven't even fully like considered that. Yeah, but that's awesome. Yeah. I for some reason, like I said, I'm a water guy. I don't really hop over to thunder, but like, looking at the Sonicore, yeah, I didn't notice that. I see Foamy and the kelp behind him. That's what I see. Like, as the water guy, I take notice to like that type of design, but that's just me being completely self-absorbed into what I enjoy.
I want to see if there's a water example. Maybe I'm looking. We have like this catalog that I'm the one who maintains it, of all of our artwork.
Right.
Like I said, there's like 1,500 pieces in here.
Well, I mean, you can look, not cataract, but like, never mind. It's just, there's so much.
There is.
There is so much. Or like the cracking art where he's on like the regular art where he's on some underwater ruins. Well, we're gonna have to figure out what those ruins are, right?
Right.
One thing I'm really eager about is like the volcanic forge. Is that where Hephaestus's like kingdom is? Do people live there? How do they live there? How did they survive in that kind of environment? Like what do their buildings look like? Like, I think about things like the exports, like they'd be, blacksmiths and stuff. Like, that's the level I'm thinking about this stuff on.
I mean, since we're also going into it, I look at Ivory and I see his background and I'm like, what lake is that? Obviously, it's not like, it may be a river instead. Because, like, it looks like he's able to stand in it and he's just, like, cooling himself off with his own water. Like, is this, like, a river? Is he, like, getting food for himself there? Is there, like... what's going on, like that's just a fun thought.
Yeah, I think I mentioned it before. As we're building the map, we are looking at these backgrounds, and like, so that river that Ivory's hanging out in might end up being like an actual location in a future game.
Yeah,
that's absolutely the kind of thing we're thinking of.
And then I'm looking, like, we've seen Corbel was one of the first ones we saw for Frostfall. I'm like, are there Corbel forests of, like, just, like, him? Or is there other, like, coral creatures? Or is it just, like, is there real coral that is not Elestrals? Like, is it just trying to blend in and hide? Like, what goes on there as well?
Yeah, and that's stuff to consider, too. Like, Majesty's card art has just regular coral, so it probably just lives in those coral reefs. But that is stuff to consider. I don't think it's spilling too many beans for me to say this, but like Cerebral specifically has ended up in the background of a lot of our water arts just because he's good set dressing, I guess. So
no, I mean, I get that.
Yeah.
It's nice to add other things.
Yeah.
Man, I remember when I was still, like, very new to the Elestral server, and they were like, "Oh, here's our, like, creations and designs tab." I made a crappy drawing that my friend that like I said, that does art helped me, like, create, and I showed him my horrible drawing. I'll send that to you later, Bex, to show you the similarity of that. But so I made a crappy drawing of, like, a winged alligator, and, like, my friend went in and did it, and I'm like, "Can you add a Pegas, like, either sitting on top of it or, like, cleaning it?" Yeah, and that's something I did.
I remember that.
Like, put the artwork in, and I'm like, "Yo, that looks so cool!" And then I sent it off.
I remember that, actually.
Well, it didn't really get around.
I don't remember exactly what it looked like, but I remember that now that you say it.
Yeah, and I thought, yeah, that's so cool. Like, but yeah, that was something that I was like, that would be so cool, having, like, maybe a water wind crocodile or something, alligator. It'd be cool.
Speaking about card arts, the new spirits just got revealed, so they look sick.
Oh, did they get revealed as we were speaking?
Ooh, which
About
ones?
2 minutes ago. Yeah.
Okay. Are they on the Twitter?
Yeah. Wait, let me look. I'm excited.
It was on the YouTube.
Probably.
I don't work with the social media at all. So, they're there.
I'm not on the Twitter. I would have to look.
Yeah. You can also look in the revealed channel on the Discord.
Oh, there was a YouTube video.
The reveal shit.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, in the thread that I started, that's
Yeah.
so much fun.
Oh yes, that's a very handy thread. But yeah, Costa did all the arts for the spirits for Frostfall. Our art director.
Oh, yeah, that is very cool.
So like Daniel Reyes, our art director, who designed the spirits initially, did base set, and Costa did them all for set 2, and someone else is doing them for set 3, set 4. It's really neat.
Yeah, so now Mr. Reyes doesn't have to do all of the extra work.
Well, I mean, he loves what he does. I'm sure that he wouldn't just stop because he's got more support.
Oh, I know he's still drawing.
Well, he's still drawn. He's got some really sick designs.
Well, no, it probably what most likely happens is the fact that because he is the art director for Elestrals, that his time is taken up with the doing the direction and stuff like that too. So there's always something going on.
Yeah, for sure. He actually also is the one who formats all our full art cards. So he does that as well. Everyone's kind of a bit of a jack of all trades in some ways.
Well, there you go. Everybody does something because it's such a small group of people. So
Exactly, we support each other.
everybody has to have something to do. It's like because you can't do archiving work 8 hours a day for 5 days a week. I can't imagine there's enough work for that, but there could be.
Oh yeah, you'd be surprised.
I'm just saying. Well, I'm just saying there could be. I don't know because I don't. I'm not in that space, right? So.
Like I said, 1,500 pieces, and the thing is, we archive
Yeah.
every single work in progress sketch, and I keep track of the dates, who draw them, who did this red line. Like, I'm thorough.
Right.
Bex, I just sent you the image of my wonderful piece of
Oh yes, I
actual-
remember this.
Yeah. Like, I don't know, it was something simple, but I was like, this would be cool.
Yeah. Oh, that's
But
fun.
honestly, it looks more like a Veritaqua than a Pegas.
It sure does.
Anyway.
Well, you're not a win guy anyway, so I don't see where that would be a
Yeah.
big deal.
That was just subconsciously.
I mean, I took the inspiration from real life creatures, because there are certain like species of birds that are coexisting with crocodiles that will actually clean their teeth for them. That way they don't get tooth decay or rot. And it's like their own little toothbrush style. It's just like how sea turtles will have moss growing on them, and then will clean them at like little cleaning stations. Those videos are so cool. Water, and ocean, and pen. Anyway,
I just have to emphasize again, if you like deep sea monstrosities, there's so many good arts coming. I'm so excited for you.
oh, I absolutely love DC, but at the same time, like, I am definitely, as much as I love water in general.
Yeah.
No matter what it is, love it. But I'm definitely more of a lake guy. If I had to, if I could only choose one ever, I'm more freshwater. But still, I'm super.
Fair enough. There's so many good things coming.
Yeah.
Oh, and we haven't even.
I know, it's so exciting.
And it's been torture not being able to talk about it, but finally, now that all the manufacturing, snags, we're past all that, things should be coming at a nice, steady pace now, and it's great.
I mean, the hardest thing, I'm sure that you've, the development team has to deal with, is that you guys will always be looking at the distant future and the creation. So, even if, set 2, once that eventually comes out and you get to show everything and be like, haha, I can talk about it. There's still, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's so much more that could be in the way that people don't see and you still can't talk about. I mean, beautiful, but at the same time, it's like, man, I have this joy and I can't share it. So
it's gonna help now that it's coming out more steadily. We were, our first Frostfall tease with a Permafrog was a year ago, in March, and a lot of cards were done by then, and we were proofing at that point and sent them off to print, and it just took forever, and it was, it's for the best because we hired a press team, Ad Magic, and it's been a lot better.
Yes.
Right.
I gotta say, one thing I do is I design the plushies, and the first plushies I was designing with our old factory. See, all of our factories are in China, so there was some miscommunications. So we ended up with
that makes
Dan got sent 3 Drataya plushies that just didn't have stuffing in them, and I'll have to find those pictures. But then and there was a Necruff. I think Necruff was the first one I tried to design, and at one point, we were figuring out what we wanted to do for
it's one of the base dog-like creatures. So I definitely see why that would be a go-to to start with.
Yeah, and we were trying to figure out what to do for the fire. Did we want to use a furry fabric or so the shape of the fire? So at one point we were sampling it with furry fabric, and it was the right color. It was blue. And then at one point we said, no, let's do a sewed flame, just a plush flame. and we sent a picture for reference, and suddenly the next sample, he had red fire. We didn't say change the color, you guys. And there's one coming up. Oh, I can't wait to talk about him.
I mean, but the texture was what's important. Yeah. Like, if you approve the texture, at the end of the day, that's what matters, even though, the color is very important, but as long as you got that texture.
I still want plushies of my puppies. I want plushies of my puppies.
Oh, I wouldn't doubt it.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
The thing about the plushies is the profit margin on them sucks. So if we sell a lot of them, there's been like a design or two we've had to scrap because it just didn't make sense cost-wise to produce. But if you guys, show up and the plushies do well, then you get more plushies. There's some really good... Oh, actually, because I'm doing a starter deck mascot, one of my little creatures is getting a plushie, and that's so exciting. That is so exciting for me. Yeah. But, yeah.
Excuse me, Sluggle Supreme. As much as I love Foamy,
I love Foamy. I want to do a Foamy
must always be my priority, and I already have my joy.
Yeah, we have to be kind of selective about what designs we do because we can only do so many, but I would really like the opportunity to go back and do like the baby forms of like the first 5 starter deck mascots. Because they're kind of like the starters, right?
I mean, basically how I see it as like, they're not like starters in the same way as Pokemon.
Yeah.
But like as spirits, I believe we go and like we either pray or go to the location where they're most common. For Leviathan, you'd go to either a sea temple or you go out to like the fishing village, like I just mentioned. If you want to go to Shrattless, you go into like a forest of dreams or like
Foley Forest.
Yeah, Foley Forest, exactly. Or in like the mountains on high for Lycoris.
Yeah.
And for Vipyro.
Oh, Vipyro.
It's fiery mountains of depth. Like it's, or like, and then Zaptor, I'm not sure. You'd have to like that would probably be one of the rarer ones because you'd have to wait for the thunderstorms or like you'd have to have some theme unless you want to do something crazy and like have a deserty like thunder forest, which like when I look at the Zaptor art, I almost see like him in like a field.
He's like in dunes or something. Yeah.
The dunes, exactly. And it's just like that is the environment where you'd go to find and connect with your Zaptor. Like I said, it's either a soul link or it's a prayer or it's something like that. Because it might be a prayer to the gods that brings them to you. Like it depends on how you want to go. Like there's 3 different ways.
Yeah. And just to finish my thought about plushies, factory in China, lots of weird mistakes. It's been so much easier with a publisher because we have someone who can translate our notes properly. There's still some funny mistakes. Like, I don't think I'll get bopped for saying that because some of the new plushies.
Don't sweat it because I'm sure we'll just present this to A Drive first anyway. I think we're doing that. Yeah. So I wouldn't sweat too much about it.
Well, in the backgrounds of a lot of his videos, you've been seeing some of the spirit plushies. We did all of the spirits as plushies. And he hasn't shown Vipyro because the sample he got, somehow that snake came back about 5 times with instead of teeth, he had like a mustache. And I don't know what happened there. But that's my sleep paralysis demon. And
I love that.
We did finally get him. We figured out where the miscommunication was. And he looked so cute now. I'm really excited for him. Oh, and the two unrevealed spirits, their plushies, are like the best ones.
I am a fan of serpents. That is, serpentine creatures are my passion, and like I can't deny that Vipyro is something I'm like. I love it. It's just, it looks so nice.
Oh, that was another thing from when I was first getting into Elestrals was when we were I say we, but I wasn't part of the team yet. They were teasing like the spirits with silhouettes on Twitter, and it was like, draw what you think the silhouette would be, and it was for Vipyro, and I got the closest. So I won, and I have a Vipyro prototype card, and that's my first Elestrals card.
Wow, that is so cool. I was actually gonna ask, like, what excited you most? Because like you said, you were doing all the cataloging.
Yeah.
What in what way were you like, wow, like this is such a cool, like, either surprise or like this is a cool thing. Like, I'm glad that this is now a thing that I can catalog. Like, what piece of Elestrals really hit you? Like, wow, blew you away.
I think it was the way it was being teased, because what I like I was saying, I wasn't working at the time, so I just had so much spare time. But Dan would just like drop in at midnight and post like 5 cropped pieces of art for us to speculate over.
Yeah.
And I was keeping that stuff cataloged so that like the rest of the community could be caught up. Like it was a Google Doc at first. I think it might actually still be pinned in the general chat, and then it was the wiki. And no one's really taken up that mantle since, unfortunately. But just something about being there from the start and figuring out what these teasers mean. That was another thing at first that got me really into it. The silhouette of Leviathan, when it was posted, there was some Elestrals in the background. And like I was really, really eager to figure something out there, and that's where we figured out Javalantis, like months before it was revealed.
Well, I know that, Jameson, you're another person that really enjoys cataloging. Now, I haven't really asked you or talked too much about this, but like you prefer like going through like the spirits and the Elestrals themselves in order to catalog. What was really exciting to you about setting up that system for yourself? Like, ooh, wow, like these are the Elestrals currently to be. This is how the lineup looks right now. Here are the empty spaces for stuff they haven't revealed yet, based on the numbers, yada yada. How did you like doing and going about that? What brought you to that?
Just what I do by nature. I've been in the collectible card game racket, I guess, for lack of a better word, since the inception of Magic with Alpha Edition. Ooh. So I've been playing collectible card games for many years, and every time I get involved in a new game that I really seriously am wanting to catalog my collection and stuff, I just do it as part of cataloging my collection. So it's just natural for me, and I'm a natural data processor. That's what I do. I was just sitting down here recently and cataloging a new game system that I'm looking at getting into, and I've already set up the spreadsheet for it, and I haven't even bought any cards yet. So, it's just what I do. It's something I enjoy doing, and it has kind of sort of got me into a little bit of trouble recently with sharing of information, but I've gotten better at that because, I just want to help. And that's another reason is I want to do it and provide it so that people can make use of it. People that want to use it, it's there for their perusal. So, that's what I do. That's why I do it.
Now that you say it too, like about the collecting aspect, like I've played Pokemon my whole life. I have like the full living decks with all the different forms, just wanting to collect all those. And with Elestrals,
yeah,
like even on the development side, we have an Elestral. What about its Nexus forms? What about its Stellar forms? What about its Ascensions or Pre-Ascensions? So there's stuff to think about and blanks to fill in there too.
Right. And what's really funny is the way I set up my binders too is people are always asking about, well, how do you set it up? How do you catalog your cards? And my binders are set up very strangely, according to some people, is the sheer fact of it's broken down by element. And then it's Elestrals. And then it's cost of the Elestral, so it starts with the 1 costs, and then it's alphabetized after that, and then it's sorted by set. So it's like the base set version, then the artist collection version, then the promo version from Founders, then the starter deck versions, then the SS versions, or any other versions that are, and so on and so forth. That's how my binders are set up. So I could just flip through real quickly, and I could see all of the versions of one card in just like 1 or 2 pages. So it's like they're all right there, because that way, depending upon how I want to, make my deck, I could grab whatever version of that card that I want to use, because they're all the same, except for the art, basically. And so I've got a blinged out Trifernal deck right now, because I wanted to have all the fancy cards in there that look really cool. And I can't wait for month 6 when I start getting all the hollows for that, because that's going to make my my binders look even better. So,
I wish you the best of luck on Stellar Trifernal, by the way. Like, I know I've said
Yeah.
this
Yeah,
before,
for sure.
but, like, I have faith in you. I hope.
I have no luck with Stellars. I pulled 2 Stellars. I traded one off for some hollows I needed, and I'm looking to either sell or trade off the other one because I'd love to have a Stellar Trifernal and a Stellar Necruff, at least one of each of them, but I just have no hopes of getting them because they're so costly to get if you can't pull them yourself.
I've only pulled one stellar, and it was Viscerus, and I sold it to Distant Coder.
I
It was you. It was you. It's your fault.
It was me. I guess it was. Unfortunately for me,
dude, I have yet to pull a Stellar. I have opened so much, and yet I have not opened a Stellar.
did you talk to TailwindZ about this with TailwindZ? How he's like the only person on staff who hasn't pulled a stellar?
Yeah.
You know, we didn't want to doom the mans like that, but
I'll doom him.
You'll be like, I will bring him shame like he does not know. But like,
but I mean, karma's gonna come back on me because I have a starter deck mascot coming. There's gonna be a stellar for that, and I'm gonna want it because I drew the stellar as well, and I bet I'm not gonna get it no matter what I do. But we'll see.
I don't know. If you sweet talk Dan, he might give it to you.
No, he doesn't even sweet talk himself into giving himself cards. So.
Well,
I was gonna say, it seems very loyal to the community. Like, I don't like unless it's like prototype or testing of the cards. I don't think he would really do that. I mean, he's already told himself how bad.
Actually, on a video recently, he or on a live stream recently, he was asked about that, and he explained why he does what he does. He buys all the product that he opens for his own personal use because he wants to put the money back into Elestrals because he wants it to be fair and on up front, right? Like he could very well just take stock off a shelf, and open it. He would lose money that way, but he could very easily do that. And that's where a lot of companies go wrong is they allow their staffers or whatever for various reasons just to take product and do what they want with it. And I think that he's got a really good idea there with reinvesting in his own company, because it keeps it on board. It's like, hey, I'm investing in my own company. Why would I expect anything less from the people that are in my community?
Of course, yeah.
And the only exception to that is when he sent samples of stuff.
Right.
But he pays for those too. He probably pays an awful lot more than you would be paying off the shelf for those.
Yeah,
So.
Right.
But that's just hard dedication. Like, you really have to have the conviction. Because, I'll be honest, if I, I've never had the passion to, create my whole, game. Because, the game world's never been my bed. It's lore and, the creation of things that really have my passion. But, as for, if I were to make a game, there's so much stuff that I'd feel I'd do. I can't imagine how hard that would be. Because I'd be like, that's so cool. I want it. Why did I have to make something that I can't have?
Yeah.
But it's for the community. And, I completely understand. And, that's just, in its own way, amazing.
Well, because he's talked a lot, too. He wants to have... Part of the reason he's doing this very, very expensive pet project of his is he wants that excitement of pulling the stuff himself.
Well, of course.
It's so fun if he just
Yeah. I mean, that's why I never I'm a guy who's gonna be at the convention selling cards, but I'm not the type of guy who's gonna be buying cards just because there's a joy in pulling something that you just can't get otherwise.
Absolutely.
And that's why buying off second market stuff, I have never done that.
Right.
If I'm gonna play with a deck, I'm gonna do it through my own efforts. Even if I see a card and I'm like, I need that for my deck, and I then spend way too much money on it.
Yeah.
But I will get that card for my deck, even if it costs me an absurd amount of pulls. And hey, I might finally get a stellar based on that. But who knows? With just that, you gotta love it.
I'm more collector than player, but I feel that in Pokemon, the Vivid Voltage set, there's this Raikou that I really wanted, and I've spent so much money on Vivid Voltage. I've pulled the other amazing rares, of course. I could spend the $3 and buy it off TCG Player or whatever, but that's so fun.
You're making me feel very tempted, because I'm sitting here with 369 unopened Kickstarter boxes, and it's so dangerous. But I'm like, no, I'm doing an unboxing later, and I must be good, and I'm only going to be opening 3 of these boxes. I have to pick which of the 3, and I'm like, I also have like this Trick or Trade booster bundle, Pokemon bundle, and I'm like, I also have that. I've also got Pokemon stuff. I've got some like just a bunch of other stuff, and I'm like, I want to open it, but I can't. The urge must not take me.
Right.
I can't keep sealed product. I'm never going to be able to, because as long as there's a chance there's a stellar in there.
Dude, I'm staring at it right now. It's so unfair. But like,
I mean, if Stellar pull like catalog that all of the Stellars from base set are pulled, well, okay, maybe I'll keep a sealed box. That sucks for its value, but
I mean, that makes sense to me. Honestly, if I had to pick a Stellar, like from the Kickstarter boxes, I have to say I love Mustation. That art design was unreal. I was gonna say, like, even the extra art in making the Sand Dollar have the spirit, like it's so beautifully designed. Like I love it. Like truly.
That was Bilsu. He doesn't work with us anymore, but he designed the Sproutier line, I believe.
Oh.
And actually, let me double check that just before I say it.
No, of course. And that's I gotta say, like that was that Stellar blew me away. Like that is like beautiful coloring texture, like from the background to like the Elestral itself, like it looked so nice to me.
Yeah. So yeah, that was I think it's pronounced Bilsu. And what's cool, and we've done this a couple times with his Sproutier design, that was a design we kind of bought from him. He was doing like a Legend of Zelda Pokedex, and that was his Lionel design with Centarbor. So
wow,
Dan said, hey, that's really cool. Can you adapt this into an Elestral for my game? And he did.
That's so cool.
And Drataya too, actually. Drataya was a design we bought as well from an artist called Zeta Strokes. That was just a fake mon they made, and it was so cute that Dan bought it, and we didn't even change that design at all.
That's
so the art is not just commissioned art from artists; it's also purchased art from other artists or one shots from other artists. So we have a variety, or
it's like 99.9% commission. There is a design we bought that is coming up in set 3 that is very good, but for the most part it is all like we have a team of artists and they do design most of the creatures. It's just been like the odd exception.
It's just the designs of passion. You see it and you're like, that is just beautiful, because like someone put so much effort and time in it. Like of course, like if you see something like that, you're gonna want to incorporate it, because it's like you just see the passion put in, and that's what I think makes Elestral so amazing. Like I've started losing like some feelings for Pokemon cards just because I'm not getting that same desire. Like sure, some are like still amazing. Like I'm not saying Pokemon's got at all, but like overall, like I'll see something that blows me away and I'll want it. Like you said with that Raikou, but like Elestrals, it's like 8 to 9 times out of 10, it's like you guys make an alt art or like a special like Stellar or like something like that, and it just blows me away because I'm like, it's you could just tell like it's amazing. I don't know how else to describe it.
I get you. Like especially being behind the scenes and some of the artists who you guys haven't seen any work from yet, and they're all so talented, and kind of looping back to the AI thing about how like a machine could never have these ideas.
Have the passion, like it, bring it out.
I'm gonna phrase this carefully, but do you guys remember from like the Elestriad opening video, that little guy running up?
The Elestriad, this torch.
Yeah, the legged torch that's just running or something like that.
Yeah.
God, what is it? No. It's a stick bug. Is that what it's called? It's something like that.
Something like that, yeah. And that's just something one of our artists came up with unprompted, and we loved it. You know, it was perfect.
It looks so cool.
He's a cute little guy.
And like, I'm sure that like I said, I don't know, but like I don't know. That's like, you see that and you're like, that is just so cool. Especially animation. Like I said, the animation you guys do, like that work is so nice.
Oh, we have an animation coming up with the Frostfall teases. It's so good. I'm so excited for you guys to finally see all this stuff.
Definitely the hype is real.
Like, yes, here's our 3D artist and the video he just made. It's so good. So good.
Yeah. It's yeah. There's so much, because I'm looking at some of the newer art that's come out that's been revealed for Frostfall, and just some of the stuff that I've seen has just been amazingly good. You know, and we're only getting better apparently as we go forward, which is awesome. So, you know, and not just new artists coming on and shining themselves, but you know, our existing artists that we have had since, you know, the beginning or whatever, who have just getting better and better as they refine what they're doing. You know, they say practice makes perfect, but I think practice just makes better. Because you're with art, especially with art, because when you're talking about art, practice does not make perfect. Practice makes better, because you could keep refining and doing and learning and making better and better product over time, as opposed to you're trying to achieve perfection, but you're never going to achieve perfection, because as we said earlier, that artists view their own work and they're their own worst critics, because they always see the flaws and are always trying to improve it, but eventually they have to stop and submit it, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah, obsession brings like it's the dedication obsession. Like, we talk about like some artists don't know when to stop, but that's so beautiful. Are you kidding?
Yeah, it's the artist curse.
Oh, dude,
that's what that is.
Dude, I don't think that's a curse. That is beauty. Like, think about, like, it's just that dedication. It's that love. You are so in love with how this could be that you put in that effort. Like, it blows me away. And like I said, I have a friend that does art. Like,
well, that's what I'm saying. Is like, I refer to it as the artist curse, because they look at it and they look at the piece that they've done and they see it differently than somebody else who looks at it. Now, as we all know, art is subjective, right? You know, one person could look at a piece of art and go, "Oh, that's crap. I don't like that." And another person can look at it and go, "That is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen." So art is subjective in and of its own space, right? But when an artist looks at their own work, they don't see that. They see, "Oh, I could have done that line better, or I could have blended that differently, or I could have done this over here." That's what they see. That's the artist curse.
Yeah.
Because they look at their own work and they're like, they see all the things that they could have done differently, but they no longer can change it because it's already out there for the public consumption.
Yeah, I mean, that reminds me of video editing, because like I've done several projects with like editing, designing, and like after like going through the effort of like doing video design, like you just like, even in like movies, you're like, okay, they did the transition like that. That's how this was designed. And like it's not that you like lose passion for like the scenes themselves. It's just like you notice the smaller details that other people just like look over. For example, like ever since like doing like the video design that I had done, every time I see a YouTube video, I'm like, okay, that's the transition for, that's how you, like, I see the transitions, I see the cuts, I see like it's just very more apparent to me, just because I've done that work myself.
For sure.
It's also like me watching movies. It was like I could see, because I've studied movies for so long, because I'm a cinephile as well. And I've watched these things, and I'm like, oh, that was a jump cut. Oh, that was that kind of cut. That was that, you know, because I'm watching this.
You and my husband would get along. He's a total cinephile too.
Because I love watching all the behind the scenes stuff and learning about the process and everything. That I see the things before, and the funny thing about it is that movies that are trying to be unpredictable inherently become predictable.
I was about to say they end up sometimes becoming the most predictable in certain times.
Yeah, because I look at it and I go, okay, first third of the movie. By the time I reach the end of the first act, I'm like, okay, I know how this movie's going to end because I already see it. They've already laid out the foundation. I know exactly where it's going. I still finish off the movie and I still enjoy it because it's entertainment. But you can see why things happen the way they are. So you look at it from an artistic standpoint of somebody who's done a piece of artwork that is, a physical drawing or a painting or whatever, or you look at, video media, or you look at a writing thing. You could see, sometimes in writing, there's a lot of predictability there, but the artist that writes or that does all of these things, or does each of these things, I should say, looks at it and they see it differently because they wrote it or they drew it or they painted it or whatever. They're like, it's so fascinating to see the thought process that goes into that.
For sure. And again, that's why AI will never quite match up to it, in my opinion.
Yeah, it can't.
Right.
In my opinion, though, with the people who use AI art exclusively, there's two reasons for that. Hiring somebody to do the artwork is outside of their financial means, or they just need something and they just want something quick and easy and not take the time to, or didn't plan ahead enough time to get the artwork that they want, so they just threw it out there. Or they just don't care and they're lazy and they just want something real quick and they're just going to use that. Those are the reasons I see.
Oh, I was just going to say, to kind of bring the you were talking kind of movie production stuff, and just a conversation we had at one point. We were talking about someday, years from now, maybe an Elestrals like cartoon or something. And I was saying, because like my thing, I love animation, I love cartoons, I love that whole process. Like that's what I see when I'm watching movies and stuff, is I'm seeing the drawings, I'm seeing the process there. So I was saying, what was it? I was saying, well, people in the community were really excited about a cartoon, and I was saying like, man, they're gonna have to wait a couple years. And then Dan pops in and says like, no, I think we could have a series by the end of the year. And I said, sir.
Yeah, it's funny. I could just I love it. The thing is that I could just hear the side eye from Bex in regards to that. I'm just like, what? No.
You say that, and I'm like, I just looked at Instagram again, and it just reminded me of like, wow, that's like his first official like release of his secret project. And I'm like, I'm looking back at that, and then I'm like, man, I remember seeing that for the like as soon as he dropped it. I remember seeing that. And I'm like, man, that's amazing.
Yeah, because you've got at least 3 to 6 months of pre-production, then you've got the 8 to 12 months of production, and then you've got the other 3 months of post-production. It's like that's a 2-year project, and that's just standard cell animation.
I think we could do, dude.
Can't imagine what it's going to take. Yeah, and I can't imagine if you wanted it to be done in an anime style, you'd add another 6 months.
I told him like ignoring pre-production, like not even talking about that. I said to him, like, do you mean like 2-minute YouTube shorts, or do you mean like a full 22 episode series?
Yeah.
And he said a series, and I said no, that's not how that works. 8 months alone for animation, not even talking about pre-production. And he said like, no, I'm not convinced it takes that long. And I said, sir, it does. It does though.
Yeah. Well, it's just like he was talking about doing that, what was that Pixel game too. And once he figured out that was going to take a way longer than he thought it was, he was like, oh, we're not doing that.
Yeah. He bullies me with that now. It's like, I don't know if you're going to be able to, like, like, I was like, bro, just trust me. You don't know what you're talking about, please. He's very smart on some things. He's a very smart businessman. But no, trust me. You're not getting a full 22 episode series out. Like, do you even know what Korean studio you want to use? Do you know that you have to use a Korean studio? Like, that was a trial. That I'm getting a freaking aneurysm with that one.
Right.
It reminds me of my family, because I've got my dad who just goes, and then I've got my uncle who's like initiates it. Like, my dad's like, I can do that, but I don't really have like the availability to do it. He's like, just do it now. And then they get a project done in a week, and I'm like, what? That month? What? like sometimes like things can happen that blows you away, because like, sure, like it should be a lot of effort, but I mean, like, if you really like put in the work, it's shocking how quickly things can happen.
Right, because of the way that it has to be done. Like, I can whip out a game in a matter, lay down the foundation and the mechanics and everything in a matter of, like days. Just without.
It's true, but some things are still going to take 8 months, whether no matter how you approach it.
Right. Well, what I'm saying is, like, I write for tabletop gaming, so everything's going to be printed. So first off, I could whip out a mechanic or an idea or whatever and just get it done in like a day or two. But the process after
there's
that
like 24-hour
takes
game
months,
jams and
because
stuff, right?
I still have to design the cards, the boards, or whatever, and I still have to do all of that. Plus, do all of the other stuff that goes along with that. Plus, put it into production, which could take months to do. It takes time.
Right.
Yep.
It's funny that he was saying that kind of thing, because, like, surely, Dan, you understand, having gone through the process with printing the cards, that some things take time no matter what you do.
Still good stuff.
Yeah.
Still good stuff.
That's funny.
So there's that, which we've covered a lot today, and it is going on almost 2 hour and a half of recording. Actually, I believe it is.
I don't know what you're talking about. I still think we have so much more to go over.
Yeah.
We did, yeah. I mean, there's so much we could talk about, but it's kind of like the art thing. At some point, you have to say, this is good enough.
I mean, honestly, I have to thank everyone here, because you guys have inspired me. I'm going to go back in time and then collect my written story from my friend, and then I'm going, maybe, I don't know if I'm going to do it yet. I haven't fully decided, but I'm going to present it or show it off. Maybe you, BEX, first, or someone. And then I'll be like, hey, maybe it's worth a shot. Yeah. I don't know.
Always good. He's always good.
I mean, if I could just like even be like a tiny bit like of support for that.
That's never
like,
too late.
It's just being in love with the lore,
Yeah, I mean, it's just we've got a lot of stuff coming down the pipe. Apparently, with the lore. And, sets 2, 3, and 4. Worlds is coming up at the end of the year, supposedly. We don't know for sure if it's actually going to happen due to various different things. But, a lot of things coming up. Plus, the other projects that are in the works that we don't know about yet. But, it's an exciting time. And it is truly the year of Elestrals. And I believe that. Yeah, we're going to make it so.
Absolutely. It's all like you guys, the community, and you guys doing stuff like this, podcast, all the content creators. Like, it's really, we're really thankful for it. Like, the support is it's such a big part of it.
Yeah, well, you mean you can't build, if you don't have a community, you can't maintain your momentum.
Yeah.
So we're happy to be a part of it. We're happy to be here talking with you today about the various different aspects of the creation process that you're part of. And we just enjoy doing this, and we're gonna have a good time. So we've got a lot of things coming down the pipe, and it's an exciting time to be part of Elestrals.
Absolutely.
So if you're not already a part of Elestrals and you're listening to this podcast, well, you should be. We're an amazing community with an amazing game and a lot of stuff that's going on. So tournaments and other things happening right now. So I'm going to go ahead and just thank everybody for being here. Baboons, you're passionate as always. Appreciate that. Guy, your opinion always matters. So you're here. You're always here. In spirit or otherwise. So, and of course, I'd really like to thank the lovely BEX.
I'm lovely.
for being here today and putting up with our shenanigans
Oh, I love shenanigans.
and talking about all of the fun stuff that she can talk about and that she is able to talk about. But thank you guys for that. We thank you guys for listening to us today, and we hope you have a good time and have fun playing your games, and hopefully the spirits will be in your favor.
Queen of the castle herself.
Oh.
And we'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening. We hope you have enjoyed this program. If you'd like to know more information about Elestrals or any of the other topics we discussed today, just click any of the links in our description. They'll take you to the various different locations to learn more about Elestrals and the people that make it. Also, if you'd like to support us, you can just click one of the links in the description. That'll take you to our Patreon page, where just a small donation will get you behind the scenes content and other fun things that we're going to be doing in the future. If you'd like to support us in another way, please go ahead and like, share, and subscribe. Again, thank you for listening, and we hope you have a fantastic day.